Hi, my name is Frank Schaefer. I read and hear a lot of comment about the woke movement. But I'd like to make my own comment now and tell you what it's not. So let's call this little episode of It Has to Be Said, what woke is not. Woke is blamed for a lot of things by Republican candidates these days. You would think the world is ending because of woke initiatives. But sometimes we can define what something is best by saying what it's not. Here is what woke people do not do. Here is what woke does not represent. Where to start? Big game hunters, rich dentists and orthodontists and plastic surgeons who pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy the right to shoot a lion or a tiger or an elephant or a rhinoceros. Woke is not that. Woke is not responsible for the destruction of the rainforest by the beef industry to supply our fast food garbage that we consume by the thousands of pounds and tons a day. Woke is not responsible for the destruction of the rainforest, the lungs of our planet. Woke was not around when white people in the South were lynching dozens and dozens and dozens of Black men and women, including a little boy who was 14, for looking at a white woman. Woke is not that. Woke is not policemen putting their knee on somebody's neck and pressing until the person dies. Woke didn't do that. Woke did not invade Iraq, by the way, with my Marine son, amongst others, starting a useless lie-based war that George W. Bush sold to the American people in reaction, absurdly, to 9/11, with which Iraq had nothing to do. Woke didn't do that. Woke is not making PGA Golf Tour deals with the Saudi Arabians, known for the murder and dismemberment of American resident journalists, for putting women in prison for asking for a driver's license and having them raped and beaten, for initiating 80 executions a day sometimes of so-called terrorists who happen to be people who want civil rights. Woke is not that. Woke is not an American golf organization making a deal with people who have exactly the same morality as the fascists in the 1930s in Europe and treat human beings that way. That's not what woke is. Woke isn't making deals with Saudi Arabia. But I'll tell you who is. A lot of former generals and lieutenant colonels from the American military, my son served in with pride, who go work for the Saudis for pure greed, hating them all the while when they talk to you in private, despising them as human beings, and just taking the money because they don't care. Woke doesn't do that. Woke is not Harvey Weinstein and the other people who accost and molest and rape and abuse women when they have positions of power. Woke doesn't do that. That's not what woke does. Woke is not CNN giving Donald Trump a national forum in which to bully a female journalist and get away with it and spread his lies and paranoia and conspiracy theories. That's not woke. Woke is not QAnon. Woke is not anti-vaccine lying fools. By the way, I had polio. I have to wear 3 socks on one leg because my parents forgot to vaccinate me. Woke is not running around telling people not to get vaccinations, initiating the next pandemic, initiating a response that will not work if applied to the next pandemic. Woke is not doing that. Woke did not deny the American democratic process and an election result. Woke didn't do that. Woke did not storm the Capitol. Woke did not put its feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Woke is not running around, as many of the white returnees from World War II did, forming motorcycle gangs of the 50s and 60s like the Hells Angels that then became drug-running empires. Woke didn't do that. Woke is not manufacturing AR-15s and other semi-automatic weapons and trafficking them down to the Mexican cartels. Woke's not doing that. Nice white evangelical Christian businessmen who talk about God and country, they're doing that. Woke is not calling for us to go easy on Vladimir Putin and cut deals with him as his soldiers rape their way through Ukraine, murder, kill, torture, kidnap tens of thousands of children and take them to Russia from parents who committed no sin other than being Ukrainian. Woke doesn't do that. Woke does not do what Tucker Carlson did and side with Vladimir Putin. That's not what woke does. What does woke do? Well, woke is young. Apparently that's a crime. Woke is Black. Young Black people, worse and worse. Woke is young Black people demanding respect. Oh my God, the sky is falling. Woke is gay people and trans people wanting to have the same opportunities that I have as a white 70-year-old heterosexual male. Oh my God, how terrible. Woke looks at the artistic and literary output of Western civilization and demands that we discuss the fact that people my color, my age, were in charge, and people their color, their age, their gender often were excluded. They would like a voice, a place at the table people like me control. When you look at what's happened to our planet, woke didn't do this to us. People like Governor DeSantis did and will do again. People like Donald Trump did and will do again. People who are woke are not using their positions as business leaders to rape women in hallways. Woke is not molesting or persecuting a minority. Woke is not lying. Woke is young. Woke is trying. Woke did not destroy our planet. Global warming is not due to woke. What will happen to a very unwoke, woke critic when Elon Musk runs his Mars colony? Well, based on what he did with Neuralink, 1,600 animals will be killed in research to implant neural links in brains so that billionaires can try to live forever, so we can have telepathy, whatever. But woke is not putting animals in stainless steel cages and torturing them to death for research. What would happen if the Mars colony that Elon Musk and people of his ilk want to run, based on their being enamored in their teens with science fiction like Star Trek? Well, if it was run along the lines of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, two of the contenders to take over NASA, by the way, it used to be a space program that we, the taxpayers, had something to do with. It wasn't a billionaire toy, which it's now becoming. But let's say there was a Mars colony run along the woke opponents' lines, Elon Musk's lines. Well, for one thing, I guess women would have to submit to being inseminated by the leaders who believe in many children with 3 or 4 different women, artificial insemination, testing for the embryo's viability, kind of a new master race, super race. We've heard this before somewhere, I think, in history. If woke people were running the Mars colony, Black people and women might have a fair shot, unlike the many suits that have been brought in Tesla against Elon Musk and Tesla for the way women and Black people have been treated. Woke would be doing more than paying a minimum wage to people in factories. And by the way, a Mars colony run along those lines, if you didn't sleep in the office, maybe the leader, the great man would push you out the airlock into the wasteland. Woke doesn't torture animals for research. Woke calls us to a higher moral ethic. If woke ran a Mars colony, it might even be, God forbid, a meritocracy based not on skin color, gender, sexual preference, how we define ourselves, or pronouns, but based on ability. People wouldn't have to sleep in the office. They might even be able to go home from work at the end of the day and care for all those children they were told they were supposed to have by Elon Musk. It's interesting when you say what woke is not, you realize they're not the bad guys. You realize that our future depends on people who have woken up to our cruelty, to the way we behave, to the nature around us, to animals, to other creatures, the thousands of beagles being experimented on in American universities for corporations that no one wants to talk about. They cut their vocal cords so they can't hear them howl. Woke people aren't doing that. Oh my God, they talk about pronouns. Pronouns cut the vocal cords of beagles. Watch their limbs atrophy as they live in stainless steel cages without exercise. Sleep under your desk or be fired or be treated with dignity. Civil rights for Black people, for women, for trans people, for gay people, or no rights for the planet at all as we bulldoze another 100,000 acres of rainforest so cattle can be raised cheaply and shipped all over the world with Saudi money, an investment coming from people like the Saudis and Elon Musk. Woke or golf tournaments, sport washing, as the Saudis buy in and try to cover up the cruelty of their regime. And while you're at it, woke isn't building car plants and manufacturing facilities in China, funding a genocide against the Uyghur people, pretending that we can all just get along and that as long as we have cheap t-shirts like this, everything's fine. That's not woke. Woke is pretty good based on what it's not. People who are hysterical about someone talking about pronouns, while at the same time the PGA Tour makes a deal with the most bloodthirsty, god-awful regime on earth, should just shut up. My name is Frank Schaefer.